So here we bought the Sony X900H. It fills an interesting spot in Sony's LCD lineup as their second highest end 4K TV below the X950H. Despite appearing lower in the series, it claims to have features that the X950 lacks, like HDMI 2.1 support for higher bandwidth signals and variable refresh rates. This is a first from any 4K Sony TV, which makes it one to consider if you're interested in a next-gen gaming console within the next few years. In this video, we'll put the TV to the test to see how it compares to the higher-end X950H. Hi, I'm Daniel from Ratings.com, where we help people find the best products for their needs. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for the latest videos, or check out our website for the full review. First, we'll look at the design of the TV and then move on to the picture quality. We'll look at the motion handling, input lag, and sound, and then see how it stacks up overall against the higher-end X950H. If you'd like to skip straight to our test results, then check out the YouTube chapters on the video. We bought the 55-inch X900H to test, but it's also available in larger sizes, up to 85 inches. We expect these other sizes to have very similar picture quality. Note that in some regions, including the UK and Europe, the model number might be slightly different, and it's often referred to as the XH90. We expect these TVs to also perform similarly to the US model that we bought. So first up, the design. No surprises here, as Sony TVs follow a very similar design language. They tend to look quite minimal, and this TV is no exception. There are thin bezels which look good. The stand also supports the TV well and feels stable, without any screws required. It is a wide-set stand which needs a large table, but this is good for those who want to place a soundbar between the legs. Some variants of this TV in Europe may also have multiple stand positions to fit on a smaller table, but this isn't the case for US models. A single button to control the TV is located under the Sony logo at the front, and you can do basic actions like toggle the power, change inputs, or change volume, but you'll definitely want to keep the remote close by. Now, moving around to the side of the TV, it looks almost identical to the X950H. The thickness is about typical of most new TVs, so it won't stick out much if you decide to put it on the wall using the VESA mount of the TV. The inputs are all directed out the side, and there's nothing surprising here, with 4 HDMI ports, 2 USBs, and a tuner. Now, some of these HDMI ports are supposed to be HDMI 2.1, but we don't know which, as we'll talk more about later on in the review. Like other Sony TVs, but unlike other brands, there is a composite video input for those who want to connect older devices. There are also clips provided in the box, so you can route cables down the back of the stand, and it works fine to have a relatively tidy setup, but definitely isn't as impressive as some older Sony TVs like the Z9F. Now we'll move on to the picture quality. We'll be comparing to currently available TVs, but competing models may change as new TVs are released throughout the year. For an updated comparison with new models as we buy and test them, see the review page on our website, which is linked below. The contrast ratio of a display is the relative brightness of bright areas compared to dark ones. It's one of the most important aspects of picture quality in a dark room, as a high contrast allows for details to be visible in dark scenes, rather than getting lost in the grey. The contrast ratio of the X900H is relatively high, and is actually better than the higher-end X950H. This is expected though, as the X950H has an extra layer to improve the viewing angles, but it comes at the expense of contrast. The X900H without this layer results in a good contrast for watching movies or playing video games in the dark. Now, there's also a feature called local dimming to improve the perceived contrast. Basically, this is where different areas or zones of the backlight can be controlled independently to further deepen dark areas of scenes or boost brighter areas. Overall, this TV performs well and the result is good, but it's limited by the number of distinct zones. The algorithm generally works well though, and we found overall performance to be similar to the X950H. Now, as mentioned earlier, this TV doesn't have the X-wide viewing angle feature of the higher-end X950H, which otherwise helps to improve the accuracy of the image when viewed at an angle. The result is worse than the X950H and about typical of most VA-type TVs. Those who really care about viewing angles may find it bad, but we do also get a lot of feedback from people who don't mind the viewing angles of VA panels. As a result, you should check out the video here to see how you find it. The full video is also linked in the description. If it's a problem for you, have a look at the X950H instead, but do note that only some sizes have this feature. So on to reflections. Good reflection handling is important for those with bright rooms. This TV has a semi-gloss finish, which diffuses reflections a bit across the screen. The result is fine and about typical of most TVs, but bright direct reflections such as from windows or lamps facing the TV may result in hard-to-see dark scenes. This isn't as good as the X950H, but the higher-end model does have some rainbow artifacts and horizontal smearing from the viewing angle layer, so check out our video review for more information. If you do have some lights in your room, then a high SDR peak brightness is also important to overcome glare with brighter content. The X900H can get very bright for SDR, as the whole screen can reach about 500 nits. It's a bit strange that the smaller 2% window size doesn't get as bright, as we hadn't seen this behavior in other Sony TVs. Most people are unlikely to notice it though. Now, if you watch HDR content, then high peak brightness is important for different reasons. High peak brightness tends to be used in HDR content to add bright specular details, resulting in a more impressive image. In this respect, the TV is decent, but about 550 nits on our real scene, it's a step down below the higher-end X950H. Also important in HDR content is the ability to display wider color spaces to produce more vivid details when the director intends for it. The X900H can display a wide color gamut with coverage over most of the DCI P3 color space. This is good for those who plan to use the TV to watch HDR movies or play HDR games. Now, a quick note on the pixels. The 55-inch model we bought has a blue, green, red pixel layout. This isn't a problem and likely isn't noticeable for most people, but might be a consideration for someone who wants to use this as a 4K monitor for their PC. This layout is fairly common on TVs, but can result in slightly less clear text from a computer, and only if ClearType tuning hasn't been performed. In other cases, the text should always appear clear. Another important image quality aspect is the uniformity of the TV. We test the gray uniformity of each TV by taking a photo of a mid-level gray and a dark gray. This shows uniformity issues which affect all colors, including dirty screen effect or vignetting, which can be distracting when watching sports or playing video games. The X900H that we bought has great uniformity, so it won't really be distracting for most people. Note that this does vary between units due to tolerances in the manufacturing process, but we expect our unit to be representative. Let us know in the comments down below if you buy this TV and how yours compares. So now on to the motion handling, and we'll start with the response time. To learn more about motion on TVs, check out our video series, which should be linked up here. The response time is an average of the time it takes a display to transition from one frame to the next. A high response time results in blurry images when watching sports or playing video games. The X900H has a fast response time, which is great, resulting in clear images without much motion blur. Like the X950H though, those sensitive to it may notice slight overshooting in dark scenes, causing some artifacts, but we don't expect this to be a problem for most people. The photo of our moving logo also looks smooth and clear. Like the higher-end X950H, there is backlight flicker at 720 Hz, but it isn't really noticeable, so while the TV isn't flicker-free, it shouldn't be a problem for most people. Now, if you really care about the clearest image, then black frame insertion is a useful feature, as it introduces more flicker to the backlight, but as a result, it reduces the amount of persistence blur. On this TV and most other Sonys, it can be enabled by increasing the clearness slider in the motion flow menu. It works fairly well, as you can see in our moving logo photo. However, for 60 Hz content, the minimum backlight flicker is 120 Hz, which results in the duplications visible. A quick word on X-Motion Clarity Plus. This is a term Sony uses when they combine black frame insertion with motion interpolation. On the X900H, this is achieved by putting the clearness setting to 1 and smoothness to 2. We haven't tested how this combination of settings looks specifically, but if you're a fan of the soap opera effect, then it may be a good option for you, as it combines a 120 Hz flicker frequency with 120 Hz interpolation. Now, if you're a gamer, then low input lag is very important to reduce the delay between an action in-game and when you see it on the screen. At about 15 milliseconds for 60 Hz signals, it is excellent and feels very responsive. It's a bit lower for 120 Hz signals too, which is great for fast-paced gaming. Now, something unique about this TV is unlike the higher-end X950H, the X900H is advertised to support HDMI 2.1 features of variable refresh rates and higher bandwidth signals. This is great to hear, as a lot of people are anticipating the next-gen game consoles, or even just gaming on TVs with variable refresh rate from their PC. Unfortunately, at the moment, the X900H doesn't support variable refresh rates, but this is expected to come in a future firmware update. Check out the review on our website for an update on this. As always, we'll keep the TV until it's discontinued, and in the meantime, we'll update the review as soon as the firmware is publicly available. Now, in terms of high bandwidth HDMI 2.1 signals, we're unfortunately not able to test this on the X900H, as there's no HDMI 2.1 graphics card available. We did buy a Club 3D adapter to send HDMI 2.1 signals via DisplayPort, but this is brand new and we haven't yet received it. We'll also update the review soon after we receive the equipment to test this though. Another consideration is there's no indication for which of the X900H's ports support HDMI 2.1. There's rumors that it's only via HDMI 3 and 4, but we aren't able to confirm this yet. So now on to the smart features. Like other Sony TVs, this one runs Android TV, which works well and feels very smooth. This is great because Sony TVs have a bit of a reputation of a slow interface, but this seems to be changing. With access to the Google Play Store, there's a huge variety of apps and the large remote works well to browse through content, or there's a dedicated button to quickly get to Netflix. And lastly, for the sound. This TV does have a different speaker configuration to the higher-end X950H and also lacks a room correction feature. Overall though, the sound is still decent and about typical of most TVs. The frequency response is well balanced and dialogue sounds clear, but as always, for better sound and more thump or rumble in the bass, you should look into an external sound system or a soundbar. So overall, the X900H is a very interesting TV. Some of the advertised features aren't ready yet though, which is a bit disappointing. We'd love to try out the first 4K Sony TV with variable refresh rate support, but we'll have to wait for a future firmware update instead. It's still a very solid performer though, with good picture quality, especially for those in a fairly dark room. If you're after a TV for gaming, then it's definitely a good choice, but it might be best to verify the HDMI 2.1 firmware update is available first. No one likes to pay full price for a beta test while they wait for advertised features. For most other uses though, the X950H is a better TV, with better viewing angles, a brighter screen, and more impactful HDR, and better reflection handling. So that's it. What do you think of the Sony X900H? Are you interested in it for gaming or a future console? Let us know down below. You can check out all of the measurements on our website. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become an insider on the website for access to our latest test results first. Also, we're currently hiring in our offices here in Montreal for various positions, so if you want to help people find the best product for their needs, have a look at the careers page on our website. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.